If you're considering signing up to the Manx Telecom Parish Walk, don't hesitate, do it. It's an amazing walk. It's now 4 weeks since I actually entered the Parish Walk and did it for the first time, and it's an incredible experience. I'd spent 7 years backing up for my husband Russell, and that was an experience in itself. The community feel was absolutely amazing, but there's nothing like actually being on that start line and doing it for yourself. It's absolutely incredible. All along the way I had support from fellow walkers, their backup. It was just incredible. So yeah, if you're considering doing it, sign up, don't hesitate. I've had time to reflect and consider things that I was happy with, things that I felt went well, and some of the things that if I was to enter it again I might change slightly. So I'll just start off with some of the things that I think went really well and I'm really happy with. And the first one of those is the pacing. Part of my strategy for the day was to go approximately a minute a mile slower on the day than I had been doing in my training walk. So I knew in my training walks I could go a 13.5 minute pace without a problem. That was my comfortable pace. So on the day I was working to go approximately 14.5 minute pace, and that worked really well. I have to say at the beginning my main aim was not to get carried away with the crowd, and that was quite difficult because the adrenaline was going, the excitement was there was lots of people that were overtaking me, so I had to keep reminding myself I was in this for the long haul. I wanted to finish the full 85 miles, so I had to just keep my pacing under control. And I did. I was really happy with that. I managed to keep it under control, and for the first few miles I literally just kept repeating to myself, I commit to 85 miles, I can do this, and that just kept me calm and under control. So yeah, I was really happy with the pacing strategy I had for the day. The other thing that worked really well for me was my eating. From experience of backing up for Russell, I knew it was important to have lots of fluids and liquids and food that wasn't dry. I knew certainly as you got further on in the walk it would be harder to eat the solids and the dry food. So I kept it to protein shakes, homemade protein shakes, which had oil and milk and cream, etc. in for the calories. So it was the homemade protein shake. I really enjoyed having the yogurt coated and chocolate coated nuts. That worked really well. Milk, Andrish yogurt, just things like this. I made sure that I was taking on the calories regularly. So because I did this, I didn't actually go through any slumps of energy. I had full energy all the way through. I had no stomach distress. Mentally, if you've watched the video, you'll see all the way through I had mental clarity. I was able to tell Russell what I wanted, how I felt all the way through, even right up to the finish actually. So yeah, the eating worked brilliantly to keep that energy. So on the day I was in two minds, because at registration you get given a Parish Walk t-shirt. So part of me wanted to wear the Parish Walk t-shirt, and yet part of me wanted to stick with the clothing I was familiar with and I'd worn during training, so I knew it didn't rub in certain areas and I was actually comfortable with it. So on the day I did stick with the clothes that I was familiar with, and for me that was the best strategy. Overall, I can honestly say that all the training I did worked brilliantly for me on the day. I practiced on terrain which was mixed terrain, so there was lots of hills in my training, and when I got to the bottom of that slock, the strategy of flattening the course as I went up the hill worked fantastically. I at the bottom of the hill, mentally I set myself the target of going up nice and steady for energy conservation, and actually when I got to the top of the slock, it didn't feel like I'd climbed such a big hill and with such big elevation. So certainly flattening the course worked brilliantly, and that is something that I would carry through and do again. So if you've watched my video series, you'll also see that one element of the training was the mind. I'd practiced the mindset, getting in the right mindset, and although I hadn't done 85 miles before, I did know that I was going to have challenges on the day, so I had to be in the right frame of mind, and that stood me in good stead. I did come across different challenges on the day. I unfortunately got blisters, which for some people would have been mentally challenging and may have even caused them to stop. It was hard to get going again after those blisters. I had one on each foot that both popped at the same time. I sat down for a few minutes to repair them and then got off walking again. And it took probably about 2 to 3 miles to get back into a rhythm. And for those 2 to 3 miles, it was painful and it was hard going to get back into a rhythm. But because I'd set myself up mentally to be comfortable being uncomfortable, I was prepared for it, so I knew if I just persevered and carried on it would get easier, and actually it did. After those 2 to 3 miles I did manage to get back into a rhythm again, and the pain did lessen. The discomfort was still there, but it lessened to allow me to carry on walking into my own rhythm. During the training, I consistently lost a pound a week. I didn't change my eating, that was just from the walking that I was doing. I can't finish the section on what I was happy with without saying thank you to my backup. He was amazing, you'll have seen him on the video, towel over his shoulder, coming to assist me with whatever I asked for. So he was incredible, and that is invaluable to have a backup who is there to help you and give you what you need whenever you want to. The worst thing is feeling that you want something as a walker and your backup is miles away, nowhere in sight. That is a horrible feeling, as some of the people I actually walked with, that's the position they were in. There are quite a few things that I learned from my debut walk and things that I would change for next time. And one of the main things that I would definitely look at changing for next time is my technique. Now, I went into this walk without changing my technique whatsoever. The walking style was my own walking style. But naturally I am very heavy-footed, and because of that it's not so bad if you're just doing say 10 miles or even up to the 23 miles, but as soon as you try to do the 85 miles, if you're heavy-footed, it does take its toll on the body. And I think that was an element of what did cause me so many issues in my hips and my knees towards the end. So I would look at improving my technique through having lessons on the island with some professional people, and hopefully that would help avoid so much the compression injuries that I obviously got, which affected my hips and knees. I just want to be a lot smoother and more efficient. Like I say, I did mentally prepare myself for being comfortable, being uncomfortable, but if you can minimise that, it's got to be better. So definitely I'll look at improving my technique for next time. Towards the end of this walk, it did start to go dark. So although I didn't get the full experience of walking in the dark after Bride, I did walk in the dark for quite a few miles afterwards through Andreas, and I did attempt to carry on towards Lezayre for a couple of miles as well. So it was dark by that stage, and I did get a sense that certainly for me, you do start to feel a little bit more vulnerable. And I'd only really done 2 night walks in my training. So next time I will definitely look at doing longer night walks as part of my training. The other thing I would do was start off with longer training walks. Obviously this debut walk, I was going from 0 to 85. So I did have to start off slowly and increase the mileage. That was the right training strategy for me last time, but I've already got that base built now, so I will look at starting off say doing 8 to 10 mile walks. My aim for 2019 is to cross that finish line and to have that feeling that everybody tells me about, which is supposed to be so amazing. So in order to get there, obviously, like I've already said, I want to work on my technique, but I also want to start earlier. This time I started my training in January, and although I thought the 6 months would be plenty of time for my training, which in some ways it was, unfortunately I was struck down with the flu that was going around in January, so I did lose at least a whole month of training, so I didn't get the 6 months I anticipated. So knowing that things can crop up, I will actually start my training in October this time, which I think should help. The other thing that I want to give a go is the honethezone training, which is heart rate training, and for that you do need to start off a good 6 months before. So if I start in October, that base training of using the honethezone method should have been finished in March, and then I've got a couple of months then thereafter to continue that training. I have just signed up to the gym, so I will use the treadmill and the other training equipment in the gym over these next few months up till October, just to keep that base training there and to keep some sort of fitness going. So thanks for supporting me in my 0 to 85 mile challenge. I know I didn't get to do the full 85 miles this time, but I have to say I'm not disappointed with my effort. Everything that I trained for worked perfectly for me on the day, and I have learned a lot about the walk and about myself, which I will take through into the 2019 Parish Walk when I attempt the full 85 miles again. In due course, I'll be back to document my 2019 Parish Walk training. However, before that, we will continue with the videos and primarily will focus on mindset training, one of the elements that really helped me in my parish walk, and from talking to other people who were involved in the day, who were competing. For them, they did mention to me that part of the reason that they gave up was their mind wasn't strong enough. So mindset is important in our daily lives, not just for the parish walk and the parish walk training, and it is something that Russell and I continually work on. So up until the parish walk training starts again, we will be posting some videos which involve mindset and mindset training. So thanks ever so much to everybody who has supported me along the way, everyone who's watched my videos, who was there on the day, who I managed to talk to, and everybody I didn't manage to talk to but that was willing me on. Thank you ever so much. Like I said, amazing day. Don't hesitate to sign up if you're thinking of doing so. It is the ultimate challenge and it is amazing. So thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.